Disco Elysium. Okay, so I know the first game you probably thought of when clicking this video was Disco Elysium. Makes total sense, because the role-playing in it is insanely deep. But honestly, besides this one, there aren't many super popular games hitting this level. Forget Witchers, Skyrims, or Cyberpunks. We're diving into the real hardcore stuff. And Disco Elysium? That's just your intro to the grim city of Revachol, where the rain washes away the last shreds of hope. You play an amnesiac detective, waking up hungover with absolutely zero memory. Your job? Solve a murder. But Disco Elysium isn't just some detective game, it's a deep RPG where every choice shapes who you are. The role-playing shines through this unique system of dialogue and your own internal voices. 24 different skills, things like empathy, logic, or rhetoric, they literally argue inside your head, offering different ways to tackle problems. Wanna be a cynical cop who spits on morality? Or a philosopher searching for life's meaning in filthy alleys? The game doesn't just let you play a role, it makes you live it. Every word you say, every decision you make, reflects your character's inner world. From interrogations to random chats with strangers, everything impacts the story and your character, creating this incredible feeling of total freedom in how you play. That skill system? It's the heart of the RPG immersion, and it's freaking brilliant. You spread points between 4 main areas: intellect, psyche, physique, and motorics. Each one unlocks unique ways to interact with the world. The game forces you into your role through deep conversations and moral dilemmas. Bottom line: it's an RPG where you don't just play, you live a whole life full of mistakes, revelations, and deeply human moments. Torment, Tides of Numenera. Next up is Torment, Tides of Numenera, a 9-year-old RPG gem not enough people know about. It has this super cool tides system that takes role-playing to another level. 5 cosmic forces, the blue tide, the red tide, the gold tide, the indigo tide, and the silver tide, track your moral and philosophical choices, shaping who you become in this bizarre world. Every action you take, whether it's sparing an enemy or debating the meaning of existence, shifts the balance of these tides, and the world reacts to you based on that. Do you want to be a cold, calculating intellectual hunting knowledge? Or a passionate rebel driven by pure emotion? The depth comes from the fact that you're not just clicking between simple good and evil options, you're building an entire personal philosophy. Your dialogues, your actions, even failing skill checks, they all shape your character, and the game adapts to your style, making every playthrough unique. Like you probably guessed, it's not about action at all. Often, you can talk your way out of fights, which is awesome. The only real downside? The graphics. And even then, it's less a downside and more, well, it's like an old rug, comfortable but worn. The isometric style is a nod to classics like Planescape, which we'll talk about later. But some textures and animations kinda look like they were drawn on a napkin. The Outer Worlds. Alright, now for something a bit different. The Outer Worlds. This game lets you tackle pretty much any quest a dozen different ways. You play a colonist woken up in a corporate-run utopia, where megacorporations tell you how to breathe and what to eat for breakfast. The game gives you total freedom, be the hero, a cynical mercenary, or just a chaotic troll who annoys everyone. Seriously, you can do that. The role-playing comes through in how your choices shape not just the main story, but also your relationships with factions and companions. Every decision, from stealing data to saving a colony, has consequences. The dialogue system lets you role-play any style, smooth talker, total jerk, or charming liar. And you can lie to literally anyone. It's hilarious. Quests rarely have one right answer. You decide what matters, making money, saving some colony or damsel, or just killing everyone. Yeah, that's an option too. I had an absolute blast playing it. Super fun game. Really hoping the sequel, whenever it comes out, is bigger and better in every way. Project Zomboid. Last one's a legend. Not strictly an RPG, more of a survival sim, but the role-playing potential here puts a lot of RPGs to shame. You are nobody. Just some regular person dumped into rural Kentucky at the start of the 1993 zombie apocalypse. No epic quests, no chosen one nonsense. Just you. Abandoned towns, and the question is, how long can you last? The isometric open world is a pure sandbox. Every house, store, or dark alley could be salvation or a one-way ticket. The role-playing is all about how you write your own survival story. You pick a profession, like carpenter or fire officer, and traits, say athletic or smoker, which define your strengths and weaknesses. Every choice, barricading a window, risking a run for a can of soup, or just hunkering down for the night, is a piece of your personal drama. The game makes you feel the weight of every single step. You're fighting not just zombies, but hunger, exhaustion, depression, even boredom, making the role of the survivor feel terrifyingly real. Oh, and the permadeath. Chef's kiss. If you die, you die. Period. And the mods? Endless. Now, fair warning for the graphics lovers, it ain't winning beauty contests anytime soon. Looks rough. The Age of Decadence. Okay, let's talk about the Age of Decadence. Honestly, the visuals are the weakest part here. If you're expecting AAA graphics, you might want to skip this one. But here's the paradox, the role-playing depth in this game is so incredibly strong that you quickly stop caring about the graphics. You get sucked into this gritty post-apocalyptic world inspired by the fall of the Roman Empire. Forget magic, forget heroes, forget epic dragons. It's all about dirty politics, intrigue, and pure survival. The role-playing shines in your freedom of choice. You can be a diplomat, a thief, someone really cunning, or even a ruthless mercenary. And each role genuinely opens up unique paths through the game. The conversation trees are like mazes, your words directly change the fates of entire factions. Decisions, like betraying an ally or cutting a deal with bandits, ripple out and impact the whole storyline. Story-wise, you start in the city of Terran, in a world where civilization has collapsed. 3 noble houses and guilds, think thieves or assassins, are all fighting over the scraps of power left. Your character. Totally random, meaning you create them from scratch, picking your profession and stats. And this matters a lot, because not having the right skill at a key moment can lock you out of entire quests. Speaking of quests and story, there are over 600,000 words here, so get ready to read. The role-playing is just wild. Colony Ship, a post-Earth role-playing game. Alright, time for something spacey. Yeah, I'd love to throw Space Rangers in here, that's fun too, but this time let's go with Colony Ship. Look, my eyes are still crying a bit from the graphics, but let's say it's gotten more tolerable. You play as one of the inhabitants aboard the Starflight. This is a massive generation ship that left Earth centuries ago, heading for Proxima Centauri. The original government collapsed long ago after a failed revolution. Now, the ship is this melting pot of factions, a fanatical church, hardcore enforcers clinging to the original mission, exiled mutants, and others. You'll be having some interesting chats with all of them. Character creation is here, you assign points, pick skills, the usual RPG stuff. But like any good RPG, the heart of Colony Ship is in its dialogues. They're twisty, packed with skill checks. Every word you choose affects your standing with the factions and, crucially, the ending. The role-playing is so cool here that you can often avoid fights entirely, playing stealthy or talking your way through. But you'll definitely need to think hard. Either use your own brains, or rearrange your enemy's brains if talking doesn't work out. Shadowrun, Dragonfall. Shadowrun. There are actually 3 games in this series, Returns, Dragonfall, and Hong Kong. But we're talking about Dragonfall today, just because. They're all pretty good, honestly. Dragonfall starts with you, a newly minted Shadowrunner, landing in anarchic Berlin circa 2054. This place is called the Flux State, where magic and cybernetics mix freely. After a big operation goes south, your team gets tangled in a conspiracy involving a dragon. Yeah, there's an actual dragon here. Then the story really kicks off. You build your character from the ground up. Maybe an elf shaman summoning spirits, an orc street samurai swinging a katana, or a dwarf rigger controlling drones. Plenty of variety, as you can see. There's also karma points you earn and invest into combat, tech, or social skills. No rigid class system, you decide who you become. And it's not just numbers. A high biotech skill lets you fix implants mid-fight, while knowing gang etiquette might help you cozy up to a crew. Dialogues are like chess matches, your skills unlock unique options. High charisma could let you sweet-talk guards, while decking skills might let you hack a system to bypass a fight. The role-playing comes from how the game encourages different playstyles. You can finish a mission without firing a shot, or just turn the place into a slaughterhouse. Atom RPG. This one is basically like Stalker meets classic Fallout, just with a different isometric view. The game throws you into the radioactive badlands of the Soviet wasteland. Back in 1986, the USSR and the Western Bloc wiped each other out with nukes. You're an agent for a secret group called Atom, sent in 2005 to find a missing expedition at Bunker 317. But you quickly get pulled into investigating a conspiracy that threatens what's left of humanity. The world itself is a mess. Think bandits, mutants, and survivors clinging to life in villages or on old military bases. What will you do here? That's totally up to you. The key is building a character that fits your playstyle, because it directly impacts how you experience the game. High intelligence opens up smart dialogue choices and clever solutions, like tricking a bandit. Investing in stealth obviously lets you sneak past enemies. The role-playing shines in how the game adapts to your build. Failing a skill check might lock one path, but it can open up another, equally interesting route. That approach is seriously cool. I once played The Outer Worlds as a complete idiot character. That's always ridiculously fun for some reason. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Alright, this is Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. The game greets you with bright sunshine over the Deadfire archipelago. It's a place where sails crack in the wind, and islands teem with pirates, natives, and ancient secrets. Don't expect a resort vibe, though. This isn't some tropical vacation spot, thank goodness. The story? Pure role-playing gold. You sail your ship across the archipelago, exploring islands, trading, fighting, and getting tangled up in political power struggles. The Deadfire itself is a living, breathing world where four major factions, pirates, a powerful trading company, the native islanders, and the Royal Rauatai, are all vying for control. The role-playing comes in how you navigate this conflict. Support one side, betray everyone, or maybe even find your own unique path. Like the first game, failing a skill check here often opens up new story branches instead of just hitting a dead end. So you're always moving forward, even if you step off the main path. Plus, you've got your ship, and eventually another base, where you manage your crew and engage in naval battles. Yeah, on top of the core RPG stuff. All in all, a really cool game. Divinity Original Sin 2. Sure, I could talk about Baldur's Gate here, which every self-respecting RPG fan has probably played to death. So instead, let's also give some love to the previous game from the developers, Divinity Original Sin 2. It looks fantastic. Not quite Baldur's Gate level, obviously, since it came out earlier. And the developers had a bit less budget back then for things like individually filming every dialogue scene, but it's still incredibly vibrant. Crucially, most of the gameplay features and mechanics you know from Baldur's Gate, they're right here. A flexible class and skill system is present, and environmental interaction is key. You can still set an oil slick on fire, freeze an enemy solid, or teleport a barrel of explosives into a crowd. All that good stuff is here. Plus, you get a whole crew of charismatic companions with their own deep storylines. Basically, it's like Baldur's Gate, but its own distinct flavor. If you haven't played it, I kinda envy you. Enderal, Forgotten Stories. Enderal, graphically, well, it looks exactly like that favorite pair of boxers any self-respecting guy has owned forever. You've probably worn them for like 10 years, but you'd never throw them out because they're just so comfortable. That's Enderal, Skyrim's graphics, the whole engine really, powering a completely different game. Or, to be totally honest, a massive total conversion mod. The story kicks off with you, the Wayfarer, getting thrown overboard after an encounter with a ghostly figure. Washing up on shore, you discover you have strange magical visions and head to Ark, Enderal's capital, to figure out who you really are. The narrative is non-linear, packed with psychological depth and moral gray areas. Do you help the Holy Order building a magical beacon, or start doubting their grand plan? The role-playing shines through in the freedom to choose your path. The progression system is overhauled too. Instead of Skyrim's freeform skill increases, you earn experience points and spend them on skill books, forcing you to seek out trainers and resources. Skills are split into combat, crafting, and psionics, which covers social stuff. Your build genuinely shapes how you play. Overall, it's a meticulously crafted gem, a role-playing experience where you don't just play a game, you live through a dark, philosophical saga. Planescape Torment. This is the legendary Planescape Torment. Visually, it looks like a museum piece from the 1990s. My condolences to the graphics snobs, hopefully, you're in the minority here. You are the Nameless One, an immortal waking up on a slab in the Sigil mortuary with zero memories. The story starts right there in the Hive District's morgue, as you try to figure out why you can't die, right? And who wiped your memory? Along the way, you encounter factions like the Dustmen or the Revolutionary League, and you gradually dive deep into the layered world of Planescape. Every choice you make, from dialogue options to actions, shapes your character, unlocks pieces of your past, and defines your journey. The key mechanic making the role-playing here so deep is the dialogue and stat system. You distribute points between strength, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and so on, but the focus isn't on combat. It's squarely on conversation. High intelligence or wisdom, for example, unlock dialogue options that reveal lore and solve quests peacefully. You can talk a thug into backing down, or decipher an ancient machine's puzzle. And all your actions profoundly influence your companions, your reputation, and the ending, where you decide the ultimate fate of the Nameless One. Vampire, the Masquerade, Bloodlines. Man, I would love to talk about Bloodlines 2 here. But, you know, well, we're stuck with the original for now. Maybe the sequel will come out someday, but when it comes to pure role-playing, the first game is still an absolute classic. The graphics? Yeah, you can see for yourself. It used the Source engine back in 2004, which was awesome, for 2004. Even back then, the character models were pretty blocky, the animations were stiff, and bugs like non-player characters getting stuck are still annoying today. But Bloodlines is fantastic. It starts with you, a freshly turned vampire, waking up in Los Angeles in 2004, a city caught right in the middle of a brutal war between the Camarilla and Sabbat vampire clans. The city itself is this dark mix of neon-lit streets, grimy downtown alleys, and gothic clubs. Every non-player character, from the bartender to some random cultist, feels like they've got their own life going on. The role-playing here? Pure gold. You pick your vampire clan, and that totally shapes your abilities and your whole perspective on the world. Skill points, character progression, combat, it's all here. Plus, there's a bunch of really cool quests and dialogue. Get this, there are something like 70,000 lines of dialogue in this game. That's pretty impressive stuff. Sunless Skies, Sovereign Edition. Sunless Skies pulls you straight into the captain's cabin of a steam locomotive chugging along through its own bizarre world. Yeah, it's one of those games where you're not just controlling a single character running around, though you do have one, but more often, you're piloting this thing, flying through a deeply unsettling, unique universe. It uses a system kinda similar to space exploration games like Space Rangers, which I've mentioned before. But here, everything's dipped in this gothic, weird fiction vibe. You start out as a nobody who inherited the helm after your old captain mysteriously died. Your job? Survival. Navigate between ports, dodge sky beasts, and deal with rebels. The cool part? When you create your captain, you pick their background, who they were. And honestly, this game is also big on planning. It's deliberate, slow-paced. A huge chunk of your time is spent traveling between stations and managing resources. Because without fuel, supplies, and terror management, you're dead. But the heart of Sunless Skies? The quests. They're intriguing, they pull you in, and they're fantastic. Oh, and the developers? They also made Sunless Sea. It's similar, but set on Lovecraftian waters instead of skies. Though, gotta say, it has a bit fewer role-playing elements than Skies. Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. Let's wrap things up with Avalon, give your eyes something dark and gorgeous to soak in. Seriously, the devs crafted a truly awesome and bleak adventure. I blasted through Avalon, and I can proudly say it's one of my top 2 personal favorite games this year. It's basically a new Skyrim, but drenched in dark fantasy. And the best part? Beyond pure role-playing, your choices have massive weight. They can be good, bad, or downright brutal, sometimes so brutal they reshape your entire playthrough. For example, early on, there's a sleeping life devourer. You can try to pet it. But that damn thing, it'll wake up and bite your character's arm clean off. Permanently. No take-backs, unless you reload a save, obviously. Now you're stuck one-handed for the entire game, forcing you to completely rebuild your character around it. Insane, right? Insane. And there are tons of wild, punishing moments like that. That's all for today. I'm sure you can think of other great RPGs with deep role-playing, drop them in the comments below. It'll help me and everyone else scrolling through. Hope you found something new here. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe to Game Like.